Did you know, according to an article written in February of 23 by Isabel Engel, a part of CNBC, that the average American in 2022 saved $5,011 in an annual year? I could actually go deeper with this stat and speak about a Forbes magazine where they spoke about different ranges of income and what range of income saved what amount of money. The idea, though, that I want to present to you is that I will always be able to run circles around the world in credit before you save that amount of money. Hi, my name's John Archibald Smith. Yes, that's actually my name. I don't care about flexing. What I do care about is inspiring you to be better, do better, and have more. And I'm gonna present my little piece of information in this video to hope that you get there. To hope that you do that too. To hope that you want that too. What a douche. Okay, so. Good intro? Okay, intro? Let's jump into item number one, overviewing what a credit report even is. So a credit report is what lenders, creditors, financial institutions, people in the medical field, people in the utility field, even colleges, it's what they use to analyze what your financial database looks like. Your financial footprint is captured in your credit report. So if you did something when you were 14, 15, 16, but you didn't have credit, well, chances are it's not on there. But if you did something at 18 plus that involved credit, so that means you got your first student loan, you got your first credit card, you got your first car, well, all of that is captured in your credit report. And there's a big difference between a credit score and a credit file. Most people know about the credit score, but most lenders care about your credit file. The difference is like a cup. Think of a cup. If you have the outside of the cup, that is the credit score. But the inside of the cup is the credit file. So if you only go and have clean outside of the cup, meaning your score is good, that doesn't necessarily mean your file is good, right? And so we want a clean file. We want the cleanliness to come from the inside of the cup. That way, when a lender drinks from it, they're drinking a clean cup. Typically, the inside of the cup being clean means the outside of the cup is clean. A lot of people don't have a great score and a dirty file. That doesn't make sense. A clean score equals a clean file equals a clean score. You know what I meant. There are three major credit bureaus. There's Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. But a lot of people don't know there's tons of secondary credit bureaus. Innovis, ARS, LexisNexis, Check Systems, and about 100 more. All of these companies are called data furnishers, and what their job is to report data, specifically your data. And what they do is they sell and exchange information back and forth. So every time you put your info in to a bank or to any of these places that ask for your social, chances are there's some type of trace being ran that has to do with something financial. When that trace is ran, that data is imported into a credit furnisher or data furnisher's database, and then they can sell that information to other companies. That's how you'll sometimes get random mail saying, oh, you know, you are pre-approved for this, or we noticed that you could use this or that, because your information is being sold. Now, quick step, if you wanted to block that, you can go to any one of these companies and opt out or freeze your account that they actually created for you without your knowledge, which is wild. I don't recommend you do this unless there's even more reason than what I've suggested already, because you actually want to be in these people's databases so that when you get that pre-approval, you get that pre-approval. Do note, you can always order a free credit report from annualcreditreport.com, and that's gonna be free, I think, every 7 days for like infinite years or some crazy junk like that. I've been ordering it like that for 2 years. So that's step number 2, is obtaining a credit report. You want to obtain a credit report to know what's on the file. If you know what's on the file, you can identify what's on the score or make sense of the score. Does that make sense? You can order your credit report online or via mail or by calling in and requesting it from Experian, from Equifax, from TransUnion. I'm pretty sure I can include all of their information down below too. So after you've reviewed your credit report, the first thing that you should see on there is your personal information. You want to make sure that your personal information is right. What I experience with a lot of my clients is a client will come to me and have 19 addresses from when they were 18, 19, 20. Or they'll have 7 names because they might have a very unique name. And every time they put in that application, the person on the receiving end might have written or typed that person's name how they heard it. So human error is a thing, right? And every time that information is typed or sent to a data furnisher, it's gonna report as accurate. Our goal is to look at it and see what's accurate and see what's inaccurate and fix it so that it makes sense. If you only have one name, why do you have 7 different misspelled names? When you go to the bank and try to get a product, a banking product, they'll say, well, hey, this person has 7 names. We don't really know if we can trust them. The same goes for addresses. If you have 19 addresses, would you give you a car if you have 19 addresses? No, right? So you need one address, or at least 1, 2, or 3 if the other 2 are previous addresses, all right? So an overview of your credit, it breaks down into 5 things. First and foremost, your payment history. Second of all, your amount of debt. So that's how many credit cards you have or what the limits might look like. Your length of history. So age is a huge thing. Mixed credit is a huge thing. And then new credit is a huge thing. If you were to imagine a pie, all of these 5 things break down into a pie. It's about 35% from the ones I mentioned to 30% to 15% to 10 and to 10% respectively. In the bigger slices of pie, you want to make sure you're advantageous. So let's dive into what that looks like. First and foremost, there's 2 different types of accounts. There's revolving accounts and there's installment accounts. A revolving account is like a credit card, where an installment account is like a loan. That credit card might break down into different tiers. There's store cards, secured cards, actual credit cards. It doesn't matter the promotion or benefit. And then there are other types of like checking account based credit cards as well. Oh, and charge cards like American Express. And then the installment accounts are like student loans, auto loans, mortgages, or personal loans, so on and so forth. Payment history is 35% of your file. So if you have positive payment history across different types of revolving or installment products, you have eaten a third of the pie. It's 35%. So like the number 1 rule is don't be late. The next thing is utilization, or how much debt you have. Now I want to make a clear distinction. How much debt you have is different than how much credit availability you have. So what I do for my clients is I take them through a capital stacking process where they acquire as much capital in a short period of time. And the reason they do that is because I would rather them have the credit than need the credit and not have it, right? So what we're doing is increasing their credit availability, not increasing their debt. Debt is something you owe on a balance. So 30% of your credit is the amount of debt you have. To put it simply, if I have $1,000 credit card and I've spent $1,000 on that credit card, I have $1,000 of debt, or 100% of my utilization, assuming that's my only credit card. Let's say in the second example, I have $1,000 credit card, but I've only ever used $100 on that credit card. Well, then I have a 10% utilization, which means I have $100 worth of debt. Banks actually smile upon a 10% utilization, and it optimizes your opportunity to get funding. Now, what's interesting about your amount of debt is the way the algorithmic thing works with the credit report is it'll take all the credit cards you have, add up all the available limits, and add up all the current debt. And it'll average it out to create the word that we know, utilization. The next most important thing, which is 15% of the file, is the average age or the history of your credit report. People that have, been alive 20, 30, 40, 50 years and got that loan 20 years ago, assuming they haven't gotten any credit since, their oldest account is 20 years old and their average age is 20 years. That's powerful. That's very powerful. That is what gets people to that 800 club, having that history, because that is, even though it's only 15%, it's the hardest percentage to acquire, right? Because the only way to get it is with time, where the other ones can kind of be played with or manipulated, or you can make this go that way or get new accounts or age out the old accounts and so on and so on. But the history, you can't adjust that unless you're adding authorized users, which is a trick of trade that some use to add or manufacture adding history. Next 10% is the amount of new credit. So a lot of people will go and apply for a credit card out of need or want. Oh, I want to go to Coachella. Let me apply for a credit card so that I could put this $1,000 ticket, I don't know how much Coachella costs, on my credit card, right? And I'm going to get the benefits and the rewards if they're even thinking about that. So now they've gotten that credit card. But then 3 months from now, they're like, oh, it would be smart to get a credit card for gas. And they do that again. So they've gotten 2 new credit cards, but this is the thing. They reduced their history twice, number 1. Number 2, they've deducted 20% from their average file score, because what they've done is new credit is 10%. They've deducted 10% in the first month. Then that 3 or 4 months later, they deducted 10% again, right? Keep in mind, they shrunk their score so that 15% of history is also deducted twice. So that's a 15%, 15%, 10%, 10% hit on their average credit score. And lastly, credit mix, which is another 10%. Credit mix means that you have revolving and installment they're different products, right? So having different products means that you're able to go and get different things. If you've only ever gotten credit cards and you try to go get your first auto loan, chances are you're not gonna have the best rate or the best results, simply because you don't have any experience with auto loans, right? And if you've only ever gotten auto loans or student loans or personal loans, but you've never gotten a credit card, when you go and get that credit card, chances are you're gonna get denied a few times because you don't have that experience. Now, there is a bit of a caveat. All of it is building credit. Keep in mind, credit mix is only 10% of your file. Meaning, if you have 35% of the pie prepared, you have another 30% of the pie prepared, you have a 15% of the pie prepared, and then another 10% of the pie prepared. It doesn't matter if you don't have mixed credit, because you've got 85, 90% of the rest of the pie ready to be eaten by the bank, that is. That's what makes up the difference between accounts. Now, that was the positive side in understanding the basic rationale of how it's built. Now we need to break into what to look out for. Anything red or anything negative should catch your attention. It's red on purpose. That's typically indicating a negative account. Negative accounts might be late payments, collections, charge-offs, repossessions, public records, or bankruptcies. Any of those are red. And the reason they're red is that they have the biggest effect on your file. Now we step away from positive percentages adding or being deducted to the file or from the file into just a full smoke show of how you can affect your file negatively. So a person with the 800 that gets a late payment might end up with a 600. Okay, because the higher the score, the more it affects you. Now, a person with the 600 that gets a late payment might actually end up with a 580, 20-point hit. Why the difference? Because they already know your credit's trash, respectfully. So because your credit's trash, it doesn't really matter to put more trash on it. It's already trash. Late payments are a big deal. There are 30-day lates, 60-day lates, 90-day lates, 120-day lates, 150, 180, and then it turns into either a charge-off or a collection. After that happens, it's not really owned by the person you owed before. It's more so sold to a debt collector, charged off as a fully paid account, which is a tax deduction, I assume, or something else happens to it where it goes into la la land. Some creditors also have internal collection agencies, and so that's not really like they sold it, they kind of just moved it around. Inquiries aren't necessarily a negative thing. Inquiries fall off every 2 years. Now, late payments or negative items, those fall off every 7, whereas a Chapter 7 bankruptcy falls off every 10. A Chapter 10 bankruptcy falls off every 7. Positive accounts actually stay on your file for 10 years, whereas negative accounts stay on for 7 after they close. So if you got a credit card and it has an expiration date on it, that's the date chances are that it's gonna close. 7 years after that date, if you had a late payment on it, that's when it'll fall off your credit report. So when people ask me, John, how long is credit repair gonna take? Does it really matter is my response. Now the answer is 6 to 12 months if you truly want results. But 12 months is a heck of a lot better than 7 years. Now inquiries are different, right? Inquiries are 2 years. So inquiries can be removed in 14 days. But still, if it takes 6 months is still better than 2 years, right? And with that being said, an inquiry might cost you 2 to 5 points. A late payment might cost you 50 to 100. In the worst cases, even up to 200. A charge off might cost you 200. A collection might cost you 200. A bankruptcy will wipe you completely. A repossession, all of the negative items will hurt you, right? And the better your credit, the worse it hurts. The less your credit is, the less the impact is. And I know that sounds wonky, but that's just how it goes. If you have more than 3 inquiries, like the bank will tell you, banks might consider you thirsty or not really credible as a lendee. You have too much going on. So what they typically want to see is the fewer inquiries, the more credible or lendable you are. And mind you, the bank wants to give you money. However, they're not just going to give money to anybody. You have to qualify yourself to get it. And the reason we want to get that money is based on the initial concept that I spoke about. People wait all year to save $5,000 and they have a goal. They probably want to use that $5K to start a business. They probably want to use that $5K to invest in a business. They want to use that $5K to save up for their first home or buy real estate investments. And what I'm suggesting is that if you understand these basics about credit repair and these basics about credit as it is, you can actually on a 10x vertical completely hop over that year and go acquire the capital to fund your dreams. What are you waiting for? So when it comes to disputing negative information, I don't actually recommend that you do it yourself. I recommend you hire a professional. Hire somebody that has the skills, the expertise, the time. They've been there, they've done that. They have clients like us, Executive Consulting LLC, simply because you don't want to mess something up. You don't want to do it wrong. You don't want to have to wait 5 years for something that could have taken 6 months. Also, I forgot to mention inquiries. There's a difference between hard pulls and soft pulls, right? Hard pulls are something that dings your credit. So that's that 2 to 5 points. And a company will hard pull you for a multitude of things. If you're looking for a rental property, you're looking for a commercial lease, you're looking for a dog, they might hard pull you. Credit limit increase for certain banks. All of those might consist of hard pulls. Now, utilities are often soft pulls. Phone bills might be soft pulls, depending on the company. Banks also soft pull you depending on the bank, depending on the region. Depending on your credit file or relationship. So understanding whenever you're having the financial conversation of inquiries or what something might dig into your file to pull information on, you want to clarify if it's a hard pull or a soft pull because it's affecting you. So yes, if this was valuable to you, I hope you like and subscribe. If it wasn't valuable to you, keep it pushing, right? If it don't apply, let it fly. But with that being said, you can download my free ebook, Pause, yes, free. Right below is 50 ways to improve your credit without spending a dime. You can find it on my website, excllc.net. I appreciate you for coming. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, put them below. I'll be sure to answer them directly, or a member of the team will answer them, and we'll make sure that you have all the info that you could possibly need to improve your credit position and understand these basic things to 10x where your dreams are going. Again, we want you to be more, do more, and have more, and we hope we provided value today.